Welcome to The Shield Within. The issues discussed on the Shield Within podcast do not reflect the opinions of any specific agency. They are the views of the host and the guest. Any persons discussed may be fictional for comedic purposes only. This podcast is rated explicit and listener discretion is advised. Listening to The Shield Within may trigger repressed or suppressed memories or experiences. Please contact a mental health professional at your earliest convenience. It's time for the chaos to cease.
Time to open yourself to peace.
From the hours you've put in.
To the next shift you begin.
From the endless pursuit of release.
That finds the worst unleashed.
Transform the ugly into a win.
Get to know your shield within.
No. Welcome to the Shield Within. I'm your host, Marc the Cop, and I have the one, the only, Roll Call Room Nick.
What's up?
Well, we are getting ready to do an awesome show, and we have the Kelli with us today. Although she's Silent Bob at the moment. Actually, she's left the studio because she's like Elvis. She's left the building. But we're doing a show today on life after being a Leo. We all been talking about this, and thanks to the fans that have been writing in and messaging me, asking about, how's life after? So we got together, put our heads together, and for this show, we decided to talk about life after being a Leo. What did you call us, Nick? Outsiders?
Outsiders.
Yeah, we're a bunch of fucking outsiders you are. So,
yeah.
Without further ado, if you are on Facebook, we know you are, because I check the demographics all the time, all you old bastards. Go to Facebook.com/The Shield Within. Or if you're out there on the interwebs, as they say, on Gas Monkey Garage, they don't pay me to say that, www.theshieldwithin.com. You can see our smiling faces, and you see a big shout out to the Roll Call Room, which we are happy to be partnering with for this episode. Dr. David is not here with us. Dr. David is busy this afternoon. We're having a rare mid-afternoon recording, but he's out saving souls. So Dr. David will be back on the next episode, but for this one here, I'm pretty excited about it. Nick, do you think it's a pretty good show?
I think it's awesome.
Awesome show. So without further ado, we'll jump right in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think we were all looking at each other going, who's going to start? Welcome to a morphed episode of The Shield Within and the Roll Call Room. With me today is the co-host of RCR, Marc the Cop.
Hello.
And from The Shield Within, the Kelli. How are you doing, the Kelli?
I'm doing well, thank you.
The lovely, the talented,
the
busy
Kelli.
as fuck.
Yeah, super busy today. That's okay.
So what's been going on, Marc? How are you?
Oh, if I was any better, I'd be a twin.
Yeah?
Yeah. Kelli, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Very well, thank you. A little stressful today, but
Yeah,
I go pick up my motorcycle today at 4:15.
Nice.
So I'm counting down the hours.
You getting a motorcycle?
Yes.
Are you gonna ride?
What kind are you getting?
It's a Ninja, Kawasaki Ninja 400.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Like a ninja.
I did not know that you rode motorcycles. Good for
yeah.
you.
So I crash motorcycles as well, which is, there's been a little bit of a gap since the last time I had one. Had one back in 2012. So
Okay.
I'm hot back on. I'm an adult now. I'm an adultier adult.
Would you say you used to drive fast?
I mean, used to, yes.
Yeah. Now you're probably a little bit more cautious.
Yeah, I'll probably, I'm also taking a skills class. So it's like a 3-day skills course.
Which I
So have
highly
you-
recommend. Maggie.
Yeah. Have you driven since 2012? A
Like-
motorcycle?
I've ridden dirt bikes, driven dirt
Okay.
bikes.
So the skill set's still there.
Yeah, when somebody crashed their bike one time when I was a cop, I had to move their bike. And so I took a little hop on, just rode it off the road. That was probably
That's got to be fun.
2018. Yeah. Probably
gotta-
the last time. It's been a while.
Yeah, I feel like when you don't ride a motorcycle for a while, because I have a license too. I haven't owned a motorcycle in a while. And then you jump on it, your muscle memory is still there. It's like with firearms. You're just like, oh shit.
Yeah,
I
we'll find
remember
out.
how to do this.
We'll find out.
2 in the chest,
Yeah.
1 in the head.
Yeah.
Wow. Right there. All right.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So
How are you,
how
Nick?
is
How are you?
I'm good.
haven't talked to you in
Life
forever.
is good. Work's good. Stressful but good. A different kind of stressful. Which maybe this episode should be, which is like life after law enforcement.
Yes. And what a great theme.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So all three of us are survivors of the LE profession, but now we're in different roles. Like we've transitioned to different roles.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, Mark, you get messages. I get messages of, hey, could you guys talk more about like, what is it like outside of it? Is there life outside of there? Is it worth jumping out of it to go into another profession? And I think people are scared.
Yes.
Because a lot of them, all they know is being a cop. And they're like, well, I don't want to be a security guard at Walmart. What's life like outside of there? I can't speak specifically about the company that I work for.
I thought
but
you
I
sprung
will
a leak there for a minute.
I know.
This is inflatable, Nick.
I know. I need another energy drink. That's for sure. But Kelly, if you can talk about maybe like what you do, or if you can, what you do currently.
It's top secret.
Top secret. Mine too.
Yeah. So what I do currently, I'm a real estate agent and I'm a team leader. So I started a team. I've got 4 agents on my team. So real estate full time. Thanks, Sarge.
Did you start part time? Like, did you start while you were a cop? Or were you doing that at the same time?
So I actually took all of my classes while I was on maternity leave.
Perfect.
From the police department. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew it was. I didn't love the job anymore, and if the job doesn't love you back, is it really worth your life? So, during that time that I took off, I was like, well, let's just go ahead and start doing something else, getting something. There's so many real estate agents in our area that are full-time police officers and part-time agents. So I think I was going to maybe try to go that route. But then when I jumped into it, both feet forward, of course, I just really I had good success with it pretty quickly. So that made it easier to remember who I was as a person, and not so much like when you're in policing, you identify as a police officer. Like that is your identity. And there's so much more to you as a person than being a police officer. So when you introduce yourself, when friends introduce you at a party, you're always Kelli the Cop or Marc the Cop or Nick the Cop. And it's like, do you really reduce me down to just like what I do for money? Because like introduce me as Kelli, who has a passion for public service, and so when
that'd be nice.
Yeah. When you start to like understand what your personal mission statement is, you can take all of that with you outside of law enforcement and not just being in uniform anymore. So I'm still a public servant. I still do a lot of public service activities. I still volunteer a lot. I'm just not dealing with the bullshit every day. I'm dealing with the real estate bullshit, but
say that again. When your personal, how'd you say that?
Your personal mission statement.
Your personal mission statement. I love that. That is
I like that.
That is awesome. Now, is that a Kelli original?
That is, Kelli has been thinking hardcore about this topic because I have a lot of friends who are still in law enforcement. So when we started talking about, hey, we're going to talk about life after law enforcement, and I'm like, what a great topic, because all of my friends who are still in law enforcement are still like, how did you get out? Like, how did you know that you were able to get out? And then how did you know? Well, obviously I'm married, so that helped, financially. But, I still brought quite a bit of money into the family. I was paid well, I think, as a police officer. It could have been better, but it wasn't terrible. But anyway, so when you start to think about who you are when you're leaving,
right,
and what you're going to do later, like you have to separate that I'm not a police officer. That's what I do for money.
Right.
Who am I? What is my personal statement? What is my mission as a person? And it's obviously to be a wife and to be a mom and to continue to do the things that serve me internally, which is public service. But that doesn't mean I have to be risking my life or dealing with command staff that doesn't appreciate you, or, you know, being at a department that's underfunded or understaffed and like putting yourself in danger. It doesn't mean all of that. So,
You know what's interesting listening to you, the part that really stuck out, and I get it too, and I think Mark gets it too from people, which is how did you get out? And you think about that, like from external now. Now all three of us are external. So we've had some time to like, you know, get rid of the t-shirts and kind of have a cleanse of the cult, you know, the cult drinks. So hearing that, us three, I don't know if I'm sure you all think the same way, which is like hearing cops that are still in it go, how do I get out? Concerns me. Like it gives me some pause, because when I was in it, I wouldn't have even thought twice. I wouldn't have been like, I'm not stuck here. They're not keeping me here. I'm not a hostage here. But externally looking in, I do feel that way. I feel that once the claws are sunk in you, it almost, you're brainwashed into thinking that the only second job that you can have is working security, armed security, like working off-duty detail at a movie theater. That's your only source of income other than putting on the uniform. And I don't think people really understand that your value, and I think I've said this before in previous episodes, is you really don't know how much your value of all of the training that department is giving you translates into other positions.
Right.
Like for me, again, won't say what company I work for, but it's probably one of the largest companies in the world. I hire ex-cops pretty regularly, and what they get paid is ridiculous compared to what they're getting paid. But I'm not hiring an ex-cop. I'm bringing your skill set into what I need.
Nick, clarify. Ridiculous as in a lot more, or ridiculous as in
in some cases double the amount than what they're making.
So
currently.
it's to the plus side. Of what you're pushing a car around the city, you know, on Friday night at 6:30 and it's raining.
Well, I mean, I find
this is fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one of the favorite things that I like about the job that I have is calling somebody and giving them their offer of what we're going to pay them.
Oh, and
then you almost hear like
the mic drop.
Yeah, it's very emotional for them, because they're like, hold up, you want to pay me this and I don't have to wear a gun to do, like, no, I don't need you to do that. No, I don't need you on call 24/7. No, I don't need you to put your life on the line. I don't need you to do all that stuff. And I think over the last, like, especially 2 or 3 years in law enforcement, they've been so devalued, you know, and in some cases, some companies are staying away from hiring cops because there's still that stigma, which is they're all roped up into one category, which is they're hotheads. They don't know how to de-escalate. Just really, really inaccurate perception of cops.
Right.
The ones that want to get out are really, really good. The majority are really, really good people. They really, truly still want to serve the public. Like what Kelli said, she's serving the public in a different way. Mine is more self-serving, which is serving my pocket. So,
I'm still serving my pocket.
No, that too. I'm just saying, like, I don't serve I guess you could say what I do serves the public, because we do offer a service. The company I work for, we do offer a service, and I think we offer the best service out of any company.
But Nick, let me stop you.
Yeah.
What are you doing right now?
Literally, I am at work right now. Like, just whoever's listening from work, I did put time off request in, so these hours are accounted for. But go ahead.
But with the podcast, right? Like, that is still serving other people.
Oh,
we're laying it out for other people. Like, you are still doing it, and you know, I know you make money. You're like a millionaire off these podcasts, so maybe not, but you're still helping in a different way.
Well, and it's interesting, Kelli, that you say that, because, you know, a year ago, the way I felt about this podcast, I don't feel the way I feel today about it. Like, it's kind of hard to explain. And Mark and I think we've kind of talked about it a little bit, is it's taken a completely different turn for me. Like, I lived for this podcast, and it almost was a replacement, like a drug replacement from my old agency. So I didn't have that to devote my life to. So I sunk it into the roll call room, and that's all I lived and breathed. I was on the freaking phone every 10 seconds, checking numbers and posting on social media.
It was your methadone, right?
It really was. Like,
I don't know.
I was religious. Yeah, I was religious every week. We had to put an episode out, 4 episodes a month. We had to do this. They come when they come, and luckily we have fans that stick around and want to hear 2 idiots like ramble on.
Well, Kelly's brought our level up quite a bit today.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't talking about me, but anyway.
Nick. I know where you are. You're at work.
I see what you did there.
But it's interesting because I think a lot of folks are like, the only thing that I can do when I do leave law enforcement is security specific. And that is not the case. Like, and what you did, which was really awesome, Kelly, was you set yourself up for success. Like, you had the goal in mind of, hey, listen, this is what I want to do. And I think most cops, and they're not going to want to like hearing this, but they're the most stubborn. They don't like the way things are, and they fucking hate change. And they'd rather stay miserable working 12-hour shifts, working for ungrateful commanders like you said, and stressing yourself out and trying to climb up the ladder for peanuts, for literal peanuts. Like,
well, but Nick, that's a bit of a conditioning though that you have when you're there, and you get a lot of learned behavior being at a police department and working for that mindset of you're in the union, and and a lot of people lose a lot of their own interpersonal interaction skills. And before we keyed the mics up or started recording, we were talking a little bit about that, how to be palatable, when you're outside the life, meaning, it's not like you're a hooker, but, you're kind of but anyway, when you're outside of law enforcement, how to be palatable. You're not always right, but the skill sets that you have enables you to be able to handle those difficult people. Kelly and I were talking this morning about, how to handle people, and we said that we were sharing stories back and forth that how, interaction with a certain person, with a lesser person who wasn't around, I don't know, the directness that we have in law enforcement, that they probably would have gave in. Whereas, sometimes you just got to be steadfast, and, learning that skill set or those interpersonal communications you have in law enforcement, that's actually a benefit. Where people are like, well, I'm just going to bully these people and get what I want. No, motherfucker, they ain't going to work with me. But you're not going to come back at them like that, a sledgehammer anvil. What you're going to come back is like, oh, I hear what you're saying, but let's go a different approach with it. Yeah. And I think those skills that we learn in dealing with the public are very valuable outside the job.
So, Mike, I got a question for Kelly, which is
did you just call me Mike?
Who's Mike?
No.
That was a Freudian slip there, I think.
No. I'm going to listen to that back. I don't think I said Mike.
We heard Mike.
You're both in the same house, so I'm going to say carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh, my gosh.
So my question is this, it's got some caveats to it, which is, did I lose you? Oh, okay.
Nope, we're there.
Okay. Was there a moment where, like, when you did leave and you're doing what you're doing as a realtor full time, where you're like, okay, I'm doing it. Like, this is successful. Like, I'm out. Like, this was a good move for me. Was there, or is there not yet? Like, have you had that realization where you're like, man, I'm really doing this. Like, this is successful for me. This was a clean break. I'm good.
So that's a really good question. That's also something that I sort of was thinking about too, when we were talking about this particular topic. And in August of this year will be 2 years that I've been a real estate agent.
Wow. Didn't realize that.
Just 2 years. Awesome. Yeah. So it's not very long, but it is long. And I would say probably in April of this year, when I decided to start the team. If you would have told me that when I was taking the classes with a brand new baby. Like, I'm not kidding. He was like 3 weeks old, and I was doing my real estate courses and, you know, trying to eat right because I'm going back to my uniform and all that fun stuff. I didn't ever visualize it, and I'm not a visual person, and women typically are not. And so we need to see it to believe it, kind of a thing. And so when I first started,
boy, do I know.
I would have never, right. I would have never said like, yep, this is what I'm doing. And you get nervous. Well, I don't know if you get nervous. Generally speaking, if you leave law enforcement for a certain amount of time, you have a period where you can just jump right back into another career or another department if you wanted, or you have to do a 2-day refresher, or then you get to the point where you're like, okay, now if I wanted to go back into law enforcement, I would have to do the academy all over again. And then also I'm 34 and I know like cutoff age, you know, I'm approaching that. And I have seriously, I would say after April of this year, I've never even reconsidered. Never even for an inch reconsidered. But when I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make money? You know, where's my paycheck? You don't get that steady income and you feel like you're working. And my family's asking me, they're like, you're working so much. Like, where's all your money? And I'm like, where is my money? Like, you know, do I have closings? Like, what's coming on? And then you start looking at where, you know, where am I spending the money? And I'm spending money on marketing. And so then you're like, wait a minute, I'm running a true business. And then you become back to the entrepreneurial status. And I'm like, I will never work for another person ever again.
Well,
and
you're investing in yourself
yes,
too.
And you get to that point where you're like, wow, commission-based income is definitely high stress, but it has a great, I think it has a great adrenaline rush as well. But at the same time, looking back, there was a period of time where I wanted to go back, but now, like the Sarge and I were talking this morning, I have a very difficult client at the moment. And he was very disrespectful to me and talking to me in such a way. And I'm like, wow, if it was any of the other girls on my team, they probably would like run and cry. And so, but using the skills that I have, that I did learn from law enforcement, you know, it's going to be an easier exit point, I guess. Whether or not I'm going to fire the client, which I really love, because when you're a police officer, you can't fire the criminal. Like, you're married to them for, you know, until the end of the case. but yeah, so it was just like, I don't know, it's just a realization all over again. I think it wasn't until April of this year when I started the team that I'm like, I'm never going back.
Right.
That's awesome.
I'm only going to move forward. And if it's not real estate, it'll be something else. Probably like high ticket sales or something. Somewhere I can make the money that I'm making right now is insane. And I'm in control of my schedule. I'm in control of my health. I'm not a victim to an hourly job of wearing a uniform and responding to calls and having command staff shit all over me every day and tell me when I will and when I will not do stuff. Like, that is just not for me anymore.
Yeah, and I got to give it to you, like commission based. It takes a special breed to do that. I'd freak out. Like, I'm just
Nick.
Really,
let me jump on that statement real quick. The skill sets that we have as law enforcement officers transitions very well into a sales. And that's why, you know, Paul Butler, I brought this up in both shows, episodes before. Paul Butler out of South Carolina always says the best waitresses and bartenders make the best cops. And the reason why that is because they create that instant rapport, right? And you have that common ground with them and you're able to think quickly. That's why cops make the best real estate agents. Right, because
and
we make that too. Well, we hoard ourselves.
That's our side gig. Full-time agent, part-time OnlyFans.
Are you kidding?
We will put that link in the description on YouTube.
I'm not getting any more. If it's going to make me money, I'm going to do it. I'm greedy.
Nick has OnlyFans, only it's him in women's shoes walking around the end of a bowling alley.
Like
so
it's really awkward. It's really awkward.
Shave the tops of your feet. That's disgusting. Anyway, cops make good real estate agents, and that's why you see so many of them getting into doing that. I will be here soon. Kelly and I will be working together as well as with my better half, the sainted Susan. And like I always tell everybody, we're going to set the fucking world on fire. But the reason why cops make the better, I think anyway, have a great skill set is you have that ability. If you start worrying about where's the money going to come from, don't fall back into safety. Safety is, I saw a video the other day of the fish along the shoreline there where it's in kind of like a tidal pool. And then finally the fish just fuck it and jumps out of the pond and goes across the gravel and then gets back into the bigger body of water. That's where you're at when you're in law enforcement. You're keeping yourself there and safe. You know that paycheck's there. You're not happy. So, Kelly, can I share what you sent me the other day?
I don't know what it is, but yes.
Your monthly. Do you want to tell them what you did last month?
It's
very inspiring. It's very inspiring. I know where your mind went, Nick. You fuck. But
yeah, that's fine.
You tell them.
You can.
She sent me a
bragging if I do it.
A settlement statement. It was. Is that what that was?
Yes.
Yeah, a screenshot of it. It was $20,000.
Wow, good for you.
For the month.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
For the month. That is impressive. That's what hard work gets you. That's what your skill set as a police officer can potentially do for you. Now, if you think you're not, if you're going to get off, or what I was saying, if you're not going to put the work in, you're not going to make the money. That's the downside of commission sales. But when you're able to get out and think about the people that think about the people that are in your circle. And that's what my wife's always telling me, take the fucking test. Kelly, every 3 days you call me, did you take your fucking test yet?
Yeah, he's not taking the test. So I finally had to start sending him like my checks. Like, hey, dude, like quit complaining about
around.
Teaching.
Yeah,
the academy.
Yeah.
And
stop teaching young cops and start getting out here making some money.
Yeah, I'm greedy.
So, well,
I just want to make money off of you.
But kind of our roles are going to reverse. Because Kelly has a tried and proven system. The where she's doing it. And man, her agents right now are just rocking and rolling, doing what she's doing. We're not selling the Kelly system yet, but
high ticket sales is next. I already kind of dropped that in there.
High ticket sales.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It's okay. I'll teach you.
Well, and
it's
a testament what you're doing too, because I've had experience with like selling a home, and it's. All realtors are not cut from the same cloth.
Oh God, no.
At all.
Some of them used to be used car salesmen. Some of them are just garbage.
I mean, really not cut from the same cloth. One in particular, I had to sign an NDA when I fired them. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
So I only got another year and a half left on that, so then I could tell that story.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was that bad, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the worst experience I've ever had. So I definitely know the difference between the two. Like the second one that I got after that was like night and day. It was like the level of service that you should get.
Right.
And it's not difficult. I don't want to say it's not difficult. Being a human being, it shouldn't be that difficult. But
we all know being a human is not always the bare minimum requirements of actually being a human.
Exactly.
But I like what you said, Kelly, which is that when folks are looking outside of law enforcement, they need to be realistic also about like a job that is going to be a contrast to what you're doing, and it's going to give you personal fulfillment and help you hit that personal mission statement. Because I think a lot of people have unrealistic expectations when they do try and leave. They're like, well, I'm only going to leave law enforcement if I get the director of global security making $250,000 a year.
Literally.
And you're like, you got to start at some point. You got to be hungry. Like that. There's no way you're going to transition. Statement. And yeah, you're going to be hungry for a little bit. And it's just like being in law enforcement. You got to put in your time. You got to grind. There's going to be moments of like, what the fuck am I doing? Is this worth it? Like what you said, because I was there. The only difference is I had no fallback. I couldn't go back to law enforcement. So that was another fire under my ass, which was I need to make something work because that door is closed. No matter where I go, I can't go back to law enforcement. So in a way, it was a favor to me because I couldn't go back and make another mistake. I couldn't go back to that abusive relationship in law enforcement.
Right.
But at the time, I was so bitter about it. I was so much like, they took this away from me. And now I look back on it, and I look back on that guy and I go, God, were you so stupid, man? They just did you a huge favor.
Exactly.
It really does. Like, I'm like, now the assholes that used to be at my department now do armed security at one of my headquarters for my company. So when I go into one of those buildings, they're working a second job as a lieutenant.
Right.
As a lieutenant, think about that. They're working an armed security job as a lieutenant at my company's one of their headquarters. And I get to look at them and smile and smirk as I'm going into headquarters,
knowing
wearing
full well
whatever I want to wear.
They're working for you, in essence.
Yeah.
You're working for me,
funny.
buddy.
But that reminds me too, because when we were at the academy and I was helping with the wet lab, I was talking to one of the guys who's been there for a really long time. And the first thing, I'm like, hey, how's it been? Oh, well, I'm here. I have to be here because my insurance benefits, Aon completely is shitting all over them. And I'm like, wow, you did all that work. You did all that time. You dedicated your entire life for the benefits, allegedly, right? And, you don't have it. And so you have to ask, like, if I don't leave now, at what point can you not leave? Right? At what point, if you're thinking about it, and you're so close to retirement and you're like, I've got 7 years, I'm going to stay. It's like, that's fantastic. That's 7 years you could be building to something else, because what do you have after it?
Right.
What do you have after it? Your benefits? Because that's not guaranteed.
Well, and it's funny that you say that, because Mark and I have talked about it before. Benefits is huge. Thank you for bringing that up, Kelly, which is when I left law enforcement, I went to this company. Well, I had bumps along the way, some other jobs along the way, but this one in particular, health insurance. Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. When you got into law enforcement, at least when I did in the late 90s, early 2000s, you went to law enforcement for the benefits. It was the pension, it was your health, optical, dental, all that stuff. Right. So
yes,
big department, not big, medium-sized department right outside of DC. Go to this company. I am paying $300 less a month for a family of 4 for medical insurance. And I don't pay anything when I go to the eye doctor or the dentist. Nothing. When I was a cop, I'd have to put shit on my credit cards for my kids to get their teeth cleaned.
Right.
To go get glasses was like, okay, now I need to go work at the movie theater 3 weekends in a row to pick up this $700 fucking optical bill that I got.
Right.
So when you're thinking that you're getting the best coverage, you're not.
You're not.
And the other flip side to it is when you leave, that coverage ends.
Yes.
The coverage doesn't follow you when you retire. So now you're 55. If you're lucky, you're leaving when you're 55. Your health is shit because you've been stressed out for 20, 25 years. So now you got to try and find an insurance company that's going to fucking insure you, and your premium is going to be through the roof. So now that pension that you're talking about that you're supposed to get for the rest of your life, minus $2,000 a month in medical insurance that you're going to have to carry until you kick the bucket.
Right.
So benefits are huge, huge.
They are.
And the other part is your pension. The pension, Mark, you and I talk about this all the time. If I had taken what I put into my pension for the almost 20 years with that department and actually invested in it myself, I'd be a millionaire.
Yes.
Because these municipalities throw it in a general fund like Prudential or whatever. And then they're like, they discourage you from withdrawing it if you quit before 20 or 25 years. And then when you do hit 25 years, you're getting like, it's different in every case, right? So in my city, I think it was like $4,500 a month for the rest of your life, right? And that sounds okay. Like if you're living in fucking bumblefuck nowhere.
Right. Factoring cost of living.
Right.
And if you're not taking a medical retirement, you're paying 15% on that.
Yeah.
And you're paying your medical out of that. So that's why all these guys thinking, I killed myself for 25 years for this.
For what?
Yeah.
For what?
And for the next 10 years until you can start drawing Medicaid. I tell you, when I left, you're talking about like continuing that insurance. You know how much it was a month?
Yeah.
$1,700.
Yeah,
I
and
was
Mark,
like,
you're
holy
old now.
shit.
You're
Yeah.
old now, so you're collecting Social Security. So that's got to be good.
Right. I know I got a head that looks like I'm 70 years old, but I'm only 57.
I couldn't
I'm like,
resist.
not yet.
I couldn't resist.
I know. You fucker. Fuck you, Nick.
But I think that's
Manscaped.com.
Manscaped.com. Code word RCR. Midnight Platoon. Code road. Code
Road?
RCR. Code word.
Roll call. Anyway, sorry.
I need to start drinking in the afternoon.
Your hooker in the background there is making noise.
Yeah, it's one of the fucking jungle cats that I have
I was
here.
gonna say it's definitely sounded like an animal, but
Jungle
whatever you're
boogie.
into.
You would think it's an animal, but it's not.
Oh dear.
Onlyfans.com/Nick the cat. Anyway,
Nick's a furry.
That's real.
All right, we went down a rabbit hole. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're talking about how bad, how we're killing ourselves for these pensions that were promised when we're young officers. And I can't stress enough that the pension isn't going to be enough to sustain you. Please, 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 please do not go out and buy the new Raptor. Do not go out and buy the new Jeep and put your little duckies on the dashboard. Save your fucking money.
Buy a crotch rocket.
Yeah, and buy a crotch rocket, right. And if you can't pay cash for it, don't buy it.
Yeah.
When I retired, I went and bought a 2011 Honda Civic and sold my beloved Ford Explorer Sport. Get rid of the ego machine and start thinking money-wise. And if you start early, for all you 21-year-olds, putting $25 to $50 per pay in your deferred comp or in a Roth IRA, by the time you put 20 years in, you're going to be very, very appreciative that you did that.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
No.
These old guys, because I had all the old guys come up and tell me the same shit, do this like I'm saying now, and I didn't listen. And then, holy shit, it's time to start seriously thinking about retiring.
But why do you think departments don't teach you financial responsibility in the academy?
So that you
Or
stay
financial
there
planning.
forever.
Correct.
So don't leave
That's
the career.
So I'm on the train the other day, and I'm traveling for work, and I'm on my way up north, and I told. This is brand new to Mark too. I have never even texted him about it. I'm not writing any more books. Like I said, I'm done. I don't want to write any more books.
I thought we didn't have secrets, Nick.
I know. So I'm riding on the train, and in my head, I'm thinking, what's the 10 things that can change law enforcement around? And of course, being the planner I am, I start fucking writing shit down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm fucking writing another book called 10 Ways to Fix Law Enforcement. And one of the things in there is financial planning in the police academy,
There you
which
go.
is to teach you fiscal responsibility, to teach you not to go buy that Raptor, to teach you to put money away. And trying to teach that to 21 to 28-year-olds, 29-year-olds is impossible, but you got to do it because what's the main cause of mental health problems later on or law enforcement suicide? Financial trouble, right?
Well,
so if you really want to
right.
address mental health, you need to address the fact that we are the fucking worst at managing our money as law enforcement. We're the fucking worst.
I can tell you I was terrible at it.
Dude, I was spending faster than I was making. I was building a house that was way beyond the means of what I was making per month. Like a bank giving me a loan for the amount of money that they gave me is fucking bonkers. I remember signing closing and I was like, these people are stupid.
Why are you giving me this much money?
Yeah, I fucking took those keys. I could tell you that.
Oh yeah.
I walked out of that closing. I thought I was like a fucking felon. I was like, ran to the house and locked the door. And I was like, you can't take this fucking thing back from me. But we don't teach financial responsibility. And Kelli was spot on, because if we taught them in the academy to start sitting down and planning and look at what it would take for you to sustain a livelihood even after retirement, it's daunting. Because if you rely on extra duty details, off duty jobs, for you to make like a living, that all goes away when you retire.
Right.
Like you're not going to make an extra $25,000 a year doing armed security at the fucking movie theater anymore. It's over. And that's what my life was like. I was working off duty more to make a good income
Right.
than I was when I was on duty.
Right.
I was one of those people I complained about all the time.
How many of these people do we know that are relying on their overtime and their side job money just to exist? It's like, do not fall. Right. And I was too, but I had always worked extra duty jobs. I mean, Kelly and I used to work at the University of Dayton Arena. That was a fun job. I worked at the Dayton Dragons. I did security at the local Kroger's here when my daughter was
Dayton, pull and tug. That's how I met you.
I wasn't there. I don't know what that is.
Oh no, you weren't there.
I did school details. I did extra school details.
Yeah,
so we didn't have a SRO yet.
So you were staying over late, weren't you? We were on midnight.
Staying over late.
You would stay till 7:30 and then go work the detail till was it 9:30?
I think it was 11:30.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Like the first half,
4 hours, something like that. But anyway.
You haven't lived till you've slept in your car because the time it would take you to get all the way home.
Yes.
And come back.
Yes.
Is not worth it.
Not at all.
I remember when I first was talking about leaving the first department that I was at, which was with Sarge. Everybody thought that it was the craziest thing ever. Nobody leaves that department. Nobody leaves the department. And I'm like, I hate it here. Like, I feel like I was the first person that had the epiphany that it's like, this is terrible. Mm-hmm. I do not want a part of this anymore. And so when I was leaving, though, and I mean, everybody knew at some point, right, that I was leaving, people looked at me like I had two heads.
Yeah.
They're like, I can't believe you would leave this department.
It's the culture, though.
This is the best department. And I'm like,
right.
No. And then right after I left, then 5 people left.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, oh, my God, we can leave. Look at her. She left.
Yeah, and it's a zipper effect.
We can do that.
To kind of wrap this up, because I know we're at a hard break here, and I want to get here while Kelly's still on with us, is that the hardest thing is making that decision. But prepare yourself. Yeah. If it's going to take you 2 years to get this shit paid down, paid off, sold, whatever, start today. If you have to do a supplemental education, start today.
Yeah.
Have a plan for when life after being a Leo. Don't be like those fuckers I see down in Florida, still with the flat top haircut, and they're still hyper vigilant. Yeah, I know. We don't have time for it. But prepare to leave. And for me, the hardest thing was SWAT hands. For me, the hardest thing was getting rid of the 511 pants and the shirts. That was absolutely.
We did a whole episode on that.
Yes, that was the hardest thing. Because I don't need these. My wife's like, really, dude? It's been 2 fucking years. You want to get rid of this shit?
Yeah.
There's no room in this walk-in closet because you have all this cop crap that you're not wearing, and you're never going to wear again. Because I have absolutely no intention of ever being a police again. But it's a mindset. I loved that time in my life.
Yes, very much.
My absolute best friend in the earth is sitting across from here in the studio. Without that career, actually, the both of you, only you're in.
Nick.
It's too late.
It's too late. I bumbled it, didn't I? Sorry, buddy.
Broken heart. I don't give a fuck. But
anyway, the great people that I met because of the job, and my first interaction with Nick on a personal level was I rolled out of Springmead, just had a dead body call, and I was sitting there waiting. I was wrapping the call up, and I just picked the phone up and shot him a text, and he answered right away. It was like 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you stopped me from doing something really stupid.
Oh, I don't know what it was, but anyway, on my end. But and ever since then, we've been great friends. But the job leads you down places. But I can tell you, this podcast has led me places I didn't expect to go either. Yeah. And my life after being a Leo is much happier because we let the happiness in, get out of that negativity, and have the courage to leave. But prepare yourself for what you want to do. You don't want to go because I have people, hey man, you want to work security? Fuck you. Hell no. I want to do fun things. I did security for 30 years. That's absolutely, and I quit UD Arena. I want nothing to do with that. And I've had people call me, hey, do you want to go do this? No, not if it's anything doing with patrolling, guarding, securing. No, it's a hard no for me. The real estate end, I want to do that. Going out and having fun, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Kelly, wrap us up.
Yeah. Bring us home.
You can do it.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it best.
You believe in yourself. No, it is scary. It's super scary. But people do it every day. You see it all the time, whether they retire out or they leave. And you deserve it too. You deserve to get your life back and to have your identity outside of law enforcement. People always think like, oh, I'm only ever going to be a police officer. But that mind shift or the mindset needs to shift to I'm a public servant. I'm not a police officer. And then take that into your next season.
Amazing.
Thanks.
Well done. I won't even top that. I'll just say,
love you, bye.
Manscaped.com.
Yeah.
Promo code roll call
Promo
room.
code.
You guys
Roll call
can't
room.
say code.
Or Midnight Platoon. Roll call room.
Both are struggling.
Yeah, you want to get the Platinum Package 5.0 Ultra at manscaped.com. Promo code. Jesus, you're right, Kelly. I can't
I know,
talk.
me
It's all
neither.
that codeine I drank.
Take care of the
Okay, Lil
fellas.
Wayne. Yeah.
Or the girls.
Or the girls. Yes.
Wait, I can use Manscaped stuff?
You can.
Absolutely,
Use
you can.
Manscaped.
Oh,
You can.
jeez.
Right. Get things under control down there.
Promo code
Roll call room.
Yeah.
Hey, we got that right.
All right. Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Be safe. Take good care of each other. See you later.
May your days and nights find you strong and safe. May you take your place as your family's face. As you do the shit that we won't do. As you embrace the risk you must go through. May you grow in strength and heal and find your heart, your soul, and your mind. You look at your life and grin. You have a home, the shield within.